Teacher Rabbi L.M. Dumizu, Life Spirit of Amen, Committee Hebrew Ethics. Welcome. All the black people, earth-white, that have converted to Islam need to get up and opt out. Remember history. Over 92% of all black people, black Africans, who have been enslaved and captured, enslaved, were captured, sold, and killed by Muslims who read the Koran every day. They still do that today. With the ceaseless persecution of black people by whitey Arabs, now topical, it is time to rethink. It is time to realize that Islam is here to destroy black Africa. Let us look briefly at the causes of the troubles that our indigenous peoples face in countries and places like Myanmar and the Philippines. First, let's look at the black founders of the Philippines. Where did the name Philippine come from? And where is this place? Philippine Islands is a group of islands found to the north of Indonesia and Malaysia, and to the east of Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. And also, it is a group of islands that were inhabited in ancient times by people from Africa. Africa is the ancient name for these islands. According to other ancient writers, the old name of the Republic of the Philippines was Africa. It is thought that the Negritoes descended from the Hebrew and Phoenicians, who are thought to have descended from the biblical people who were trading and who had missions to Ofi. In this sense, the Philippines may fit the bill of a gold-rich realm. In a book found in Spain entitled Colección General de Documentos Relativos a las Islas Filipinas, the author has described how to locate Ofi. According to the section 98, document number 98, dated 1519 to 1522, Ofi can be found by traveling from the Cape of Good Hope in Africa to India, to Burma, to Sumatra, to Moluccas, to Borneo, to Sulu, to China, then finally Ofi. And there is discussion here of why it could not be Japan, because the Moluccans didn't get to Japan. Why it is not Taiwan, because Taiwan does not compose of many islands. Only the present day Philippines, he says, could fit the bill, could fit the description. Spanish records also mention the presence of Lacais, who were traders, descendants of Phoenicians, whom they describe as white, who had ships full of gold. But who is a Filipino? Where did the name Philippine come from? The name is an English translation of a Spanish noun. Around 1542, a sailor, Ruy Lopez de Villalobos, saw these beautiful islands, and he colonized them and baptized them and renamed them Filipinas, the name of their king there. Also, according to Alvarado, they named the islands in honor of their fortunate prince, who they assumed to have conquered these islands and made them Christian islands. It is this name now which has been converted into the English term Philippines. Before this Spanish conquest, according to Jose Rizal, a black Filipino national hero, on Ptolemy's map, which was made before the 2nd century, the group of islands today known as the Philippines were called as Tawalis. It's an African term. Ptolemy got this knowledge from a sailor named as Hippalas. We are showing there the portrait of Rizal, who was a mulatto, and this is where we go from and consider that before the Philippines, the territories and the city-states named Philippines today had indigenous names. Many of these names are actually still in use today. You got Zubu or Cebu. You have Selurong, which is Manila. We have Bigan, which is Vigan. We have Tondo, which can also be Tondo. A place that is also found in Africa called Tondo, in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique. We show here these various names. We are concerned here with the names Mindanao, Zamboanga, and Davao. which are actually names of African origins. And we know that the original population of the Philippines consisted of 9 groups of tribes that inhabited these islands. These were the Ati, the Bajaro, the Igorot, the Lomad, the Mingian, the Negritoes. We shall concentrate more on the Negritoes, because this is where we have all the issues concerning ancient African founders of the Philippine Islands. We see them here. These are pure and straightforward Africans. There is no two ways about it. The original peoples of the Philippines are the Agta, described as diminutive Africans. They are still found there. Racist historians pejoratively call them pygmies, Negritos, or Aita, but they are purely straightforward, simple, straightforward Africans. Filipino Africa is now, how do they look like? Phenotypically speaking, the Agtas are described as physically small and unusually short in stature, black-skinned, and modern nomenclature now say dark-skinned. Their hair is spiral-haired and spiral-shaped, and they have a heavy, broad nose. This is a description of Africans, pure, straightforward, and simple. Negritos, the dominance of diminutive Africa, is called black dwarfs by some Chinese writers, recorded in the official books of the Liang dynasty, recording this around 502-556 Common Era, is hidden from many African people. In Taiwan, this name Taiwan is a Bantu straightforward term originating from the now common name Taiwana, which means we have found it or we have founded it. In Taiwan, there are stories about black ancestors now said to be extinct. Again, they are called little black men. The description is totally of Africans, short, dark-skinned people with short curly hair. These were Negritos who disappeared about 100 years ago. Similar groups of black people have been identified in Japan, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia, as well as Malaysia. It is clear that in ancient times, a belt of black population inhabited all of Asia. The Aita or Agta are an indigenous people who live in scattered, isolated mountains today in parts of Luzon in the Philippines. Now, indigenous people face destruction earthwide. You see here the Filipinos are fighting for their land today in Philippines. You see on the right hand there is the Rohingyas who are being persecuted in Myanmar, Bangladesh, and many other places. Why? Let's look at the belief system of the Aitas. The Aitas were a monotheistic believing people. The Aita tribes know about a supreme being who rules over lesser spirits or deities. This is an African ancestor-based concept of God. We're showing you the Umfengan, Unkulunkul, the symbolical names of the all but one parent who has many other creations below him. There is also a term they use, the Apona. This word means a lot. It's like he or she is here, or he or she heals, meaning of the great deity. The Aitas are also animists, which means they believe that there is an animating spirit in many entities. For example, the Pinatubo Aita believe in environmental spirits. Is African. They believe that good and evil spirits inhabit the environment. This is African. Such as the spirits of the river, which is African, where we have got holy rivers, holy places, sky, sea, mountain, hills, valleys, and other places. This is typically African. Therefore, the Negritos or Anu or Bantu colonized many islands in the Pacific. Some pottery from the lowest level of sites dug in the Southeast Asia, also found in the Philippines, attest to this. As early as 11,000 BCE, the Austronesian speakers had developed advanced drainage methods. These were the Negroids who carried over this technique, which had been developed in ancient Egypt by the river Nile. They practiced horticulture as early as 5000 BC. Many metallurgy was already known, and iron was already being exploited by the Negroids 3,000 years ago. The early Austronesians expanded across Southeast Asia, the Philippines, and eastern Indonesia by 5000 BC. By 4000 BC, they were already there. the Negrite people began to leave the mainland and settled in various islands, as far as Madagascar and Easter Islands. Yet we must remember we are one people. The indigenous people of the Philippines are struggling to survive. During the Spanish era, many Aeta groups in northern Luzon were known as Pugut or Pugot, a term which is pejorative, and it's also a colloquial term for goblin or forest spirits. This is what they do. This is a colloquial term for people with darker complexion. This is the same racism we face earthwide. Fellow Negritos of northern Luzon dislike these terms. You can read this on in the book Population Dynamics of Philippine Rainforest People, The Sun in Death for Agta, published by the University Press of Florida, page 208, authored by Thomas N. Headland and John D. Ely. Where is Africa when our brothers are facing a destruction and our brothers are being destroyed? Let's look a little bit at the siege of Malawi. Did I say Malawi? Yes. Is President Duterte an indigenous Filipino or a mulatto sellout? Look at how they destroyed Malawi here, which is Marawi. Anyway, the Battle of Marawi shows the deadly combination of Islamic indoctrination and mulatto leadership as biggest threats to indigenous people earthwide. Look at the name of the city, Marawi. There is an African country of the same name named Malawi. Also, there is an ancient Egyptian city of the same name called Malawi. Now, non-indigenous, non-Arab indigenous black people should never be part of any self-declared Arab state. Black people must fight it. Black people must not even think the Koran is their holy book or Islam is their faith. Look at what this has done in Africa. Look at what it has done on indigenous people all over the world. All black people earthwide that have converted to Islam need to get up and opt out. Remember history. Over 92% of all black African slaves were captured, sold and killed by Muslims who read the Quran every day. They still do that today. Watch and look what is happening in Libya, in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Egypt, and many other parts of Africa. Remember, we are under siege. It is time for us to know this, to accept this. The trouble of the Rohingya is because of Islam as well as because of their race. Why are the Rohingya Muslims among the most persecuted communities in the world? Why is there conflict between the majority Buddhists and the minority Rohingya? Who are the Rohingya? The Rohingya are descendants of black people. You can see them there. They were pejoratively called Negritos in ancient writings. The term Rakhine is believed to have been derived from the Pali word Rakpura, Sanskrit Raksapura, meaning the land of ogres, Rakashas, possibly a pejorative term referring to the original Negrito inhabitants of these lands. Same racism the Aetas face in the Philippines, same racism any black person faces anywhere on earth. Now, we are one people. We face extinction together. Around 1000 after Common Era, classical Mongoloid peoples began to intermix and marry with the Indo-African peoples in the Pacific and Asia. The Mongoloids started to the oceanic black slavery, enslaving them. It is the descendants of these interracial unions who today dominate Asia. We are therefore bound by destiny to wake up as black people and unite as black people across the earth, earthwide. Hamiti Hebrew ethics, when it comes to this unity, will break all artificial boundaries crafted in Germany, in Europe, in Africa, and across the world. Will break all barriers, language barriers, and human philosophies, ready to be bound in black indigenous unity, and we are ready to spread the message of oneness. Thank you and goodbye.